Welcome to Switch Center, everyone. This is going to be a quick episode because that's what we have time for this week. Let's get right into the topic. That topic being Xbox sucks. So, I know, like last week, our topic was PlayStation sucks, and now we're on to Xbox sucks. We may seem like corporate shills for Nintendo, but I promise this is just what's in the news. Have you heard about this stuff at all, my friend Quinn?
I've heard a tiny bit, and I've heard that things mainly just aren't going well, especially in the last couple years. I haven't heard about any major things happening, so fill me in.
Okay, so, there are huge layoffs with Xbox and Microsoft. Something that's very rough in this day and age. It's very hard to get a job. So to hear that people in the gaming industry are losing their jobs is very tough because it's really hard job market to find new
We're
careers.
podcasters, so we're getting big bank and we don't have to worry about stuff like that. But for most people, it's a tough time.
This is totally our main source of income, our 10 viewers. But
Thank you.
Across both sales and Xbox, Microsoft has laid off 4,800 jobs. So that is a significant chunk of their Xbox division. That's 4,800 people who are not going to be able to feed their families until they can find another career option. So this is not very good press for Microsoft.
Yeah.
And deservedly so. Allegedly, this is due to poor business strategies and management. So, around 2020, when there was a huge gaming boom because of a little thing called COVID, don't know if you heard about it, everyone was stuck at home, everyone was playing video games, and the stock for video game companies went way up. And to increase or diversify their investments, their portfolios, Microsoft started buying all of these gaming companies and putting them into their Xbox division. This included studios like Bethesda, known for Skyrim, Fallout, id Software, which does like the Doom games, Activision Blizzard, which is known for Overwatch, Call of Duty. That was later in 2023. But essentially what they wanted to do was bolster their Game Pass, which is this Microsoft-owned subscription service that's similar to Netflix, except it's a monthly charge to rent these games. And when they bought these companies, they figured, we need to bolster our Game Pass. And their idea was not every single game that goes on Game Pass needs to be Game of the Year material. It doesn't need to sell 1 trillion copies. It just needs to fit into these little niches that makes it seem like we have this diverse gaming portfolio for people to play. Just if you're buying Game Pass, you're like, I have a rhythm game here, I have a shooter here, I have a story game here, and I might not buy this game if I had the money for it, but I will play it since it's on Game Pass.
And this is something that I did hear about, that Game Pass was being pushed really heavily, and that it was hard to get people to go over to the platform. I do know some individuals who do like Game Pass, but I've heard that ever since this transition and this push, their net subscribers have gone down.
Yes, and unfortunately for Microsoft, this strategy has not been boding very well for them. They now, in the year 2026, would rather have these big, massive AAA games that do sell 1 trillion copies, that aren't on Game Pass, that they can sell and people will buy and will win Game of the Year and everyone will be talking about. The unfortunate thing is games take a long time to develop, and even longer if they don't have the higher-ups monitoring and setting these timed boundaries for employees to hit, preferably without crunch time, but that's besides the point. The problem now is that these companies have been working for 6 years on games that are artsy, that aren't going to sell 1 trillion copies. And now they're being punished for it. The higher-ups at Microsoft are looking at all of these games and they're saying, well, these aren't going to sell 1 trillion copies. We're going to shut down your entire division, fire everyone, and hope to reclaim some of those losses. And that is just such a rough situation to be put in being fired for doing your job and doing what you're told. So, yeah, I mean, that fucking sucks.
So that sounds pretty bleak for
Yeah.
Xbox. It doesn't sound like a good spot for them to be in. I've heard that Bethesda also isn't getting moving on their Fallout series yet.
Yeah.
Like, they've been busy on other projects. It sounds like Xbox is hurting. If you heard us last week, PlayStation is hurting.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
And also, it's just like these dual releases that Xbox was trying to do, where they said, oh, we're going to put the new Halo on a PlayStation system. And then 6 months later said, actually, we're not going to put any of our games on PlayStation again. And so it was like, they're just throwing everything at the wall. They're saying they had that marketing strategy of everything's an Xbox, where they said, oh, your PC is an Xbox, your fridge is an Xbox. And then they gave up on that. It just seems like they're not committing to anything. They're expecting these business strategies that should take 10 years to develop. They're trying them for 2 months, and when they don't save the company in 2 months, they're scrapping it. So how does this relate to Nintendo? They're not perfect, but at least they're not royally up like these other companies.
It's really interesting because we stay very in the news on Nintendo, and they've had their share of controversies recently. Everything seems to have wrapped up a little bit more with them announcing that the prices are going to increase on the consoles before they actually come out. Things like dropping the game prices, even though they are on those carts where you have to download the game and it doesn't really do anything. And at the very least, they do have a cartridge port. So there are games that you can fully have and own on your system. They've got their fair share of issues, but they've really been trying. I get they're not doing what Xbox and PlayStation is doing right now.
And they're at least trying to address their controversies. It almost feels like, have you seen that meme that goes around for Mario Party and stuff, where it's like Luigi wins by doing absolutely nothing? That's like Nintendo right here.
They took notes.
It's like,
it's working.
You know, they're not doing anything super bad right now, and all the other companies are doing absolutely terrible things.
All they had to do was announce an Ocarina of Time remake, and they're doing good. They're doing great.
Forgiven. Although that doesn't seem completely fair, because Nintendo's company culture, at the very least, seems to be good, and it has been good for a while. They're not known for crunch time like other studios, specifically Western ones. There was that big news story that during the Wii U era, instead of laying off all their employees like Xbox is doing now, the higher-ups actually took pay cuts to ensure that their employees could continue having a livable wage and keep their jobs, which is extremely, I mean, it's kind of like bare minimum behavior, but also just in this capitalistic hellscape, it seems like a miracle.
And it does feel like Nintendo has kept that reputation. So, I mean, there's bad stuff that happens. Things get thrown around a ton, but hey, they're holding on to it for what it's worth.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the late, great Iwata even had this quote. This is a paraphrase, but it's, layoffs offer better short-term financial results, but employees who fear that they will be laid off constantly are not going to produce good games, good results. This culture seems to have stuck with Nintendo, and it got them out of their horrible Wii U era, where they weren't selling any games, and the only thing people were buying were Amiibo. But it allowed them to completely bounce back, and they're just dominating the industry right now. Even, you know, with some of the worst things that they've done. We are not corporate shills.
Everything's got some issues. Steam's got their issues. Nintendo's got their issues. But definitely in the news recently, it looks like Xbox and PlayStation have some huge issues that they need to address.
And just by proxy, Nintendo's PR is going up by them being...
Doing nothing.
Doing nothing. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, that's our topic for this episode. Sorry it's such a short one, but hopefully next week we will have a special guest for you guys. Not going to spoil it now, but first name Chozo, last name Archives.
Make sure to put down in the comments below if there's anything you want us to address with Mr. Chozo Archives, and put down below if you agree that, you know, it's looking rough for other companies. Maybe some critical things about Nintendo.
Yeah.
You know, we can address that down there too.
Or, you know, you could just read the title and call us idiots who are shilling for Nintendo. That works too.
That works too.
All right.
We are journalists.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.